Hello, it's Joseph, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Emily Carpenter for the Aroma Summit by AromaTrust. Emily is a certified aromatherapist, homeopath, herbalist, and a Reiki master. Emily's latest project is the Aroma Trust and aims to bridge the gap between reliable aromatherapy education and everyday essential oil users. She launched the Aroma Summit in 2022, bringing together 3,000 attendees from 95 different countries to start building a community of aromatherapists. The Aroma Summit 2023 is set to take place on the 28th of April with a bigger reach and impact. Today, we will take you behind the scenes with a backstage pass to the Aroma Summit by AromaTrust. Welcome, Emily.
Hi, Joseph. Thanks for doing this with me today. It feels strange to be in the reverse spot on the screen here as being the interviewee instead of the interviewer. I kind of like it.
Excellent. Are you ready to get into it?
Well, almost, because first, before we do that, I want to introduce you, Joseph Haas, as this wonderful helper that you are with the Aroma Summit. And Joseph has been with AromaTrust behind the scenes from the very beginning, before the beginning, as a thought of joining the local incubator that AromaTrust was born in, and having the idea of, hey, maybe you should do something with aromatherapy to where we are now and everything in between. He's been my rock and just helping me every step of the way. Every day he has to hear all the things, and he's got so many great ideas with every aspect. And you would not be at the Aroma Summit today if it wasn't for Joseph helping behind the scenes, doing so many tasks, helping with emails and quality checking videos and this interview right now. So I just want to say a big thank you, Joseph, for all of your support and for just being here and being such a big part of AromaTrust and the Aroma Summit. And it's fitting that you are the person interviewing me today because you've already seen the entire summit before all of us have. So you're the perfect person to be here. And thank you so much for being a part of everything. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Emily, for this great intro. I appreciate you as well. All right. Are you ready to get into it?
I am.
Fantastic. Okay. I have heard that you've been called the Queen of Frocks. Why is that?
That was only once so far. Maybe that'll be a new moniker for me. Elizabeth Ashley recently called me the Queen of Frocks because she asked me, how many dresses do you have? And I said, well, I have quite a few. And every interview that I did for the Aroma Summit, I'm pretty sure for everyone, I wore a different dress. I don't think I repeated dresses. That might be different at the live event. I might repeat a few, but I've worn a different dress for every single interview. I just like to keep things fun and fresh.
That's fantastic. Excellent. All right. Now to the serious questions. My first serious question is, why the Aroma Summit and why AromaTrust?
Well, AromaTrust is a vision that I have to take aromatherapy to a different energy, I would say, in the world, so that right now, I see a couple of different categories of people using aromatherapy. There's aromatherapists, and even within aromatherapists, there's different levels of education and experience. And then there are essential oil users that don't have formal training, but love essential oils and everything in between. And so AromaTrust is a place to have aromatherapists be at the center of aromatherapy, or the center of AromaTrust. So a directory of aromatherapists that essential oil users who may not have thought to use an aromatherapist before can start to learn from aromatherapists, hire aromatherapists, and exchange information and connections so that we can together create a more robust aromatherapy community that's a kind and caring and collaborative community where we all go forward together.
That's a fantastic vision. That's really, really good.
Thank you.
So you so far have interviewed, I believe, 38 or 37 people so far of the amazing speakers.
Quite a few, yeah.
For the Aroma Summit, and you don't repeat the speakers. What was it like? How do you find your guests and make sure that they're reliable speakers that have the correct information to share with your essential oil user audiences?
It's a really, really great question, Joseph. So I have not repeated speakers. So this is the Aroma Summit that we've done. So last year we had our first one. Now we have our second one coming up. And last year, I think we had 34 speakers. This year, 38. No repeats at all. And there were people that I would love to have come back. And also, I know it's important to bring fresh faces into the spotlight so that we can see how many different ways people are using aromatherapy, really give people that may not have had the spotlight before a new way of sharing. And I really want to elevate all of us together to have a chance to really see how we can interact with each other, how we can help each other. And so the only way to do that is to keep bringing new people in. And so I decided last year, when I got feedback from the attendees from last year, one thing they really loved was that they saw people they hadn't seen before. Of course, we're all happy to see the people that we have seen before, and there was plenty of them at the Aroma Summit this year and last year. And so bringing in the combination of people that we know and we've heard from before, and then people that we may know, but we haven't heard much from. They haven't put their voice out there as much. And I want more of us, more aromatherapists, to really be creating content, writing articles. That's what the Aroma Buzz newsletter is for, is to get those things out to more people so that it's not just aromatherapists talking to aromatherapists anymore, but that aromatherapists are sharing with essential oil users so that we can all get better at understanding how powerful these plants are and how powerful essential oils are, so that we can use them in ways that are safe and effective and fun.
And that's also to ensure that you have the correct information getting into the users that use the oil, so they can be safe in what they do with it.
That's right. So yes. You asked me too there, how do I find speakers? And it all starts with what you have coined, Joseph, as the chain of trust. And so with the chain of trust, it's, I started with people that I know and trusted and spoke to them and said, hey, maybe you could be a speaker. And then who else do you know? And then talking to that person and then having them become a speaker and then saying, who else do you think should really be at the summit as a speaker? And so really going through that chain of trust so that I don't have to know everybody. I just have to know somebody that knows somebody. And that's how I've gotten every single speaker for the Aroma Summit. Now, this year there were a couple of exceptions where people started to contact me and say, I'd like to be in the Aroma Summit. And that's great. And I also had to check to make sure, trace back, who do they know? And does anybody know this person? And not just pulling people out of the air, but really talking to people and making sure that their information was good, that they were going to provide value for attendees so that we can be sure that the information that we're getting is solid and from a good place of knowledge that, I really want people to start to learn new things, have ideas triggered that they might go out and try something new, or they maybe before they try it, they learn some more, right? So it really it's about giving you enough information so that you want to go learn more and try something new.
Yeah. And do you have a qualification process that you qualify whoever comes in? Or is that just the meeting that you have with them and then you talk to them, find out what they want to talk about and their level of expertise, then you invite them to talk on the summit?
Yeah, I speak to everyone ahead of time before we interview and just talk with them and see, what their experience is in aromatherapy, what things that they love that in aromatherapy. And so what's unique about the Aroma Summit is that every talk is actually an interview. So it's interview style. So I bring people in and ask them questions. And so they might have a presentation. Many do not. So it's more of like, combination of classroom and talk show, so that there's this, synergy, so you can feel like you're part of the conversation. And I'll often ask questions that you might be thinking in your head as a listener, and hopefully your questions get answered. And if not, you can go to live Q&A if the speaker is available and talk to them face to face and have a live chat while their session is playing. But I speak with them all ahead of time. And sometimes when I talk to somebody, they say, well, I don't really have anything to share. I don't know what I could possibly share. And then when I sit with them and just have a casual conversation with them, things become clear. And then I make suggestions. I think this might be a great topic for you. And then they start to see possibilities and get excited to share. And so things that somebody may have never thought of sharing before. Melanie Kovac is a great example. She was going to talk about what she always talks about, which is amazing. She talks about chemistry of essential oils. And I said, well, how about something a little bit different? Let's talk about your experience of transforming aromatherapy in your own country. And so she got excited about that. And so she's been super excited. It was a wonderful conversation with her to really bring that new piece of her out into the forefront, so that, I don't want people to just talk about what they always talk about, but to talk about what they're really excited and passionate about and what makes them unique. And so I've been able to draw that out of some people and then share that here at the summit.
Yeah, I guess if you find the topic that they're really passionate about, it would be an amazing interview, really full of helpful information, and also they're passionate about it. It makes a big difference.
It does. It brings the energy up. And I really want to have a positive environment at the summit. And so it starts with those speakers just being so happy to talk about what they're talking about. And I think that carries through the whole summit.
And I believe having an interactive environment with the speakers and the essential oil users makes a big difference as well.
It does. Yeah. So having those different levels of, first you watch the interview. If the speaker's available, they'll be there to answer questions in live chat, just in typing chat while the interview is being played. And then having a live Q&A session with them where you can see them face to face on video and ask additional questions. And some of them have provided bonuses for VIP. So there's the next level of connecting with them, taking a class of theirs or downloading something that they provided. So it's a really connecting event where we're not just, little talking heads. The speakers are not just little talking heads and PowerPoints. We're really connecting with each other and having conversations that make us all feel like we're a part of the same community, which we are.
Yeah, and also it's great to have that collaboration of different people, bring them all together in the same place to share and have different perspectives on aromatherapy. It's really, really good to get that mix of knowledge. Mm-hmm. I personally am a fan of different. I like to see how people see it differently, then pick the best thing that works for me.
That's right. And that's exactly what I want to happen at the Aroma Summit and with AromaTrust is I really try to help people to learn how to think, right? So we think that, we want to get answers from experts and have them tell us how to do things. And we want formulas and recipes and how do we do everything like you do it, right? Like I want to know, how does the expert do the thing that I want to do? But the thing is, the expert is telling you how it works for them in the environment and with the people that they've done things with, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily the right thing for you. And so really like taking everything that you hear at the Aroma Summit, take it as a guidepost, someplace to head toward, but it doesn't mean that you have to do all these things exactly the way you're hearing them done. Hopefully it gives you some ideas and sparks something so that you want to learn more, so you want to try more. So and when people ask me, for instance, what's your favorite essential oil company, which I've had that question hundreds of times by now, I will not answer that question, because what I think is one of my favorites, and I don't have one favorite, because there are so many good essential oil companies, but I don't have one favorite. But my favorite is based on the things that I need in the moment, and the things that I look for in an essential oil company. So instead, I like to teach people, here are the things to consider. These are the questions to ask. And then you make a decision what's best for you. So teaching people how to think is maybe a more difficult mission rather than telling them what to think. But I really that's so important to me to give people the information so that they can become empowered to make healthy choices that are right for them, and to do things that they love, not the thing that I love or that any of the speakers or any of the aromatherapy experts are doing, but looking at them as a guidepost. And having many of those hearing knowledge from many different people, I think is super important. We should never get our essential oils from one company or our knowledge from one expert. There are so many different ways to get that information. So the Aroma Summit is a great way to get a taste of all that so that you can decide where you want to go next.
Absolutely. And also it's important to look for the oil that you want with the qualities that you want, and it might not be available from one company. You might have to get what you're after from a different company. So it's more important to know what you're looking for than actually going with a specific brand, for example.
Absolutely. There is not a single company on the planet that can have every single essential oil, and there is not one. There are so many. I don't even know. I've heard people say hundreds and maybe thousands, like couple, maybe, I don't know, hundreds at least of different essential oils. And so when you look at all that, there's no company that can carry all them, and especially because there's new ones being discovered. We had people at the summit, Greg Trevina, who's discovered some Australian essential oils. Rafael Perducci in Ecuador has been experimenting and distilling different essential oils, things we've never tried before. So you've got to look around to find new things and to find just the right thing. So it's great to have many sources. And
also, I guess it's still a lot of experimentation needs to happen, and not everything is known. There's not a lot of in-depth. I feel that it's an ancient, aromatherapy is ancient, but there's still a lot more that we need to learn that we don't know.
There's always so much more to learn, and we're learning more every single day. And one thing that I heard over and over again from the speakers this year is they're excited about the research that's coming out. There's more and more research. So Marion Reben, who's a speaker at the summit from ARCOT, is going to talk to us about how how we can do research, standardized research, so that it becomes more acceptable and more broadly accepted in the scientific community, and so that we can look at that research and make better decisions based on it. And so that's going to be something to really keep an eye on, is the research and just getting some validation scientifically of things we already know, and being able to bring it to a broader audience, have it more accepted in the medical community and just in general.
Excellent. So since I have been doing the quality checking of the videos for the Aroma Summit, I noticed that not all the topics are aromatherapy. Why are some of the topics in the summit not related to aromatherapy?
Great question. Yeah. So when I was going through homeopathy school with Dr. Les Moore, who's also a speaker at the summit, he's talking about gemotherapy at the summit. The thing that he always taught us was that it's important to know about all different modalities, as many as you can. You don't have to practice all of them. You don't have to know every little detail. But it's important to know about some of them, because when someone comes to you, they're usually pretty desperate. If somebody has decided to look for you, to spend money with you, to get some help, they've probably been to a few other people before you. They've tried other things, right? A lot of people have gone through the conventional medicine system and nothing seems to work. They may have had chiropractic, they may have had massage, they may have had acupuncture. They may have tried all kinds of things, read self-help books, done all kinds of things and not quite gotten to it. And so they come to you, and so far you're the next house or the last house on the block, right? They're desperate. They're looking for a solution. And so when they come to you, they need to come to you thinking that, or knowing that you understand where they've been. A lot of times we go to a conventional doctor and say, I've tried this and I've tried that. Their eyes kind of cross and they don't know what you're talking about. But when they come to you as an aromatherapist, there should be some understanding and acceptance of their journey so far, and understanding that, so that you can help them to, you know what they're talking about, so that you can speak their language, at least to a certain degree. And the other piece of that is that aromatherapy is not the answer for everything. And oftentimes for me, it's not my first answer. So as you mentioned in the beginning, I've studied homeopathy, herbal medicine, aromatherapy, Reiki. And because of Dr. Moore teaching us about other therapies, I've learned a little bit about other things, but the ones I've actually studied are those. And so it's not my first line of defense. It's not my only line of defense. We really need to have a toolbox. And if I don't know something, or if I think aromatherapy either isn't the solution or it's not the only solution, I can refer someone out. I can say, have you considered trying this along with fill in the blank, meditation, yoga, acupuncture? So I can understand what those other things are and refer somebody, so that, because my goal as a healer is not to have someone pay me money and keep coming back. My job, my mission as a healer is to help somebody to learn how to get what they need and heal themselves. Because we can have the best doctor in the world, and the doctor can prescribe something, but the healing takes place in our own body. It's not what the doctor is doing or not doing. It's our body that's healing. And so giving it the right tools, but you've got to know what that is for your body, and nobody can tell you that except for you. Same as learn, all this, it's just, again, that idea of helping people to make decisions for themselves. And so having those different modalities is a way to do that. And so every year, Dr. Moore would teach us about all different modalities. It was a unit every year in homeopathy school to learn about different modalities. So actually one year I taught a section on aromatherapy, because I was the aromatherapy person in the room. And we learned about panchakarma and hydrotherapies and so many different things that he has studied. So we could learn about all those different things. So I like to bring that into the summit. And this year I was blessed to be able to bring in a couple of my mentors, to bring in Dr. Les Moore and Rachel Ginther, to bring in people that are my teachers, because I wanted to share them with all of the people at the summit. So that's been a great opportunity too, to bring people in that I've benefited from so much. And so now all of you can too.
That's great. And also it's more of an integration, not just it all works together as a holistic approach instead of focusing on one thing and not the other. Okay. So you had to go all the way to San Francisco to interview Jeannie Rose, as she only does face-to-face interviews and nothing over the computer, which is a great commitment on your behalf. So what was that like?
Oh, it was so much fun. I really had so much fun. And I want to say I didn't have to do it. I wanted to do it. It just when I reached out to her and she said, I'll do the interview, but you have to ask me in person. I thought first I thought how's that ever going to happen? She's all the way across the country. I don't have that much time left before the summit. There's no way that can happen. And so I asked a friend if he could do this for me, somebody I've known my entire life. And it turns out he lived less than a mile from her. And And he said, sure, yeah, I'll do that. Like it was like a crazy, Emily asking me to do something crazy again. And so he agreed to do it. But then I thought about it for a minute and I thought, why don't I go do it? And so I decided that's what I wanted to do. And it was so much fun just hanging out with Jeannie Rose. I got to see her, her place, all of her workshop and all of her setup, and just sit there and experience essential oils with her and have a great conversation. And then she took me, so we had the interview, which was amazing, just to sit with her. And I'll tell you a little bit of a fun fact about that in a second, but the interview was awesome. And then the next day we had lunch at a beautiful place on the bay. And then she drove me around San Francisco and gave me a personal tour of San Francisco, which was so much fun to see all the places. It was just a cool thing. Jeannie she is San Francisco, right? Like she lives and breathes San Francisco, and that's her home. And so to get a tour from somebody like that of San Francisco, there's just nothing that compares to that. And it was just so much fun. Oh, so I was going to tell you during the interview. Yeah. So I did a lot of preparation for this interview, right? So she sent me a bunch of articles to read and interviews to watch. And so I was really prepared in that way. I did my, as she called it, journalistic duties, and I was prepared. And then also I had to prepare in other ways. I had to, first get childcare and like figure all that, get a plane ticket and do all those things. But also I had to get equipment figured out. I had to figure out how, what cameras am I going to use and microphones, and how was I going to do that? So I did, I called around, I called my friend that does movies, I called my friend that does YouTube, and I thought and I got different answers from each of them. And so I actually bought a couple of really nice cameras and then realized they weren't quite going to cut it because they were going to cut out in the middle of recording at the 30-minute mark. And so I realized I needed to find something else. So I got all the equipment. I bought 2 cameras, a computer, a wireless mic set. I got all of it and carried that all with me. I bought tripods, and I had everything you can think of, an external hard drive for all the files. Like I got everything. Even a what do you call it? Thing you plug things into. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on what that's called.
USB.
No, it's like a power strip. I bought a power strip to bring that so I could make sure I could plug everything in, which Jeannie really liked, and I left it with her because it was one less thing I had to carry home, and it was a gift I could give to her. So I had all this stuff ready, and I carried it all with me. I had a whole backpack, just a giant backpack full of equipment. And I got there and I set it all up, and then realized it needed to be set up differently, got it all set up again, hit record on all the right things, had the right software picked out and everything. All good. And I thought we were all set. And then at the end of the interview, I looked and I saw a little thing on the screen that said, video has stopped. And it said that it had run out of space. And I was like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be running out of space. So limitations that I didn't realize that I thought I tested everything. I went to the local college and had the media people there show me how to use the equipment. Like I really did a lot, but there were still technical issues. So you'll notice when you watch the interview, or as you have seen the interview, Joseph, already, there was the beginning part, the first 45 minutes or so is a video, which turned out, I think, was from the camera on the computer. So I didn't need those 3 extra cameras I had set up. But the one camera video for the first half, and then the rest of it, like the last 30 minutes or so, is just audio, because thankfully the audio worked the entire time. So we put in a slideshow of different pictures from San Francisco and from Jeannie Rose's background, so that you're not just staring at a blank screen. But so there were some technical difficulties, but all worth it, because I know the people are going to get some great wisdom from that interview and come away from it wanting to do things a little bit differently. So all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a really good interview, and the speakers, all of them are great, with a lot of wisdom and a lot of secrets and interesting stuff to share. So do you have to do a lot of research for every speaker, or is it only specific speakers that you have to look at their body of work to interview them? Like you mentioned that you had to do a lot of reading to be prepared for Jeannie. Does that happen for every speaker, or only depends on who you're talking to?
Yeah, it depends on who I'm talking to. Some of them just a little bit more than others. Like for Jeannie Rose, definitely, I did a lot of background. I ordered a bunch of her books, read through them as best I could. I read her articles, listened to interviews. I did everything I could to be prepared for that one. And then Daniel Penawell was another one where I read some of his articles that had been published in Aromatica magazine, thanks to Gergely, that provided me with those articles so I could look back and get just like a base understanding, because he has some things that are different. Dr. Bruce Burkowski also, I have attended some of his classes and had in-depth conversations with him just to be prepared for that interview. So I wouldn't say all of them, but there were a few that, because of the content and maybe because of the person, that I wanted to really make sure that I had a base understanding before sitting down with them.
Excellent. All right. So we are seeing a lot of trends in aromatherapy these days. What are some trends that you have seen?
Great question. So the trends in aromatherapy right now that I see are people are wanting to get more. Well, two things that seem opposite, but they come together, right? Because we're going to meet in the middle. But I see some people wanting to do more and more research, get the scientific aspect in place. And then I see other people that want to learn more about the spiritual side of aromatherapy and learn more about the energetics and how those work. And so I think there's just more of a coming together. I see more of a coming together. And that's exactly what Daniel Penawell talks about is, he comes from France. And so he has the medical background in aromatherapy, and then discovered there's the subtle side of aromatherapy that intrigues him. And so he's had a joining of the two. And I think that's what's going to happen more and more in the aromatherapy world, is it's not just, science is right and the subtle aromatherapy is right. And that, it's not one is right or one is wrong. It's what can we learn from both sides and how can we bring them together so that everyone is benefiting, because it's becoming more and more clear. I think we've seen this with, especially in recent years, where people there's been a lot of stress. There's been a lot of just mental gymnastics that we've had to all go through because of the way the world is at the moment, or has been for a while. And so, we have to find ways to not just address the physical symptoms, because we're seeing that some of those mental states are affecting our physical state, and vice versa. The physical can affect the mental. And so aromatherapy is no different. So we have to look at that holistically. And so I'm excited to see that. And the funny thing is, a lot of people that I've spoken to, they think that they're the only ones thinking this, but they're not, because almost everyone I speak to has this idea like that they think they're the only one. Well, there needs to be more about the subtle. But everybody is saying that I've spoken to, or they say they want to hear, see more research, but everybody's saying that too. So there really is this, without knowing it, we're all kind of coming to the same place. And so that's really exciting to me, that we're going to all sort of not be one side or the other, but we're going to come together in a way that can really change things in the aromatherapy industry.
Yeah, it's really important for a holistic approach. I'm a believer of that. And also, the interesting thing about people is that the personal is universal. It's one of my favorite sayings, because we think we're the only one thinking of it, but everybody else is thinking the same thing. So everything that you think is personal is actually universal. And you don't find that until you ask the question. It's like, that's on my mind, and it's on your mind as well. So it's quite interesting. As mentioned before, you have interviewed many speakers this year and also last year. What have you learned by interviewing these great speakers? What were your biggest takeaways?
So many great things. I've learned from every single speaker something. I've come away with something and wanting to learn more myself or to try something new. I guess out of all of it, it's, there's been a few months here, or like there's been times, I should say, where I'm not using aromatherapy as much as I maybe could. And so not right now, I'm looking around me, I'm surrounded by essential oils. And I've been using them more and just having them be a part of my daily routine. And so I love that aspect. And that there's so many different ways to do that, and to really just have essential oils as a tool that's available. And I've learned how people use different essential oils in ways that I hadn't thought, or like, specific essential oils. And also I've heard, when I ask the question, and if you are, actually, we're going to try to play that video during the summit, a few of my favorite essential oils, where I ask every speaker, what are your favorite essential oils? And you'll notice trends in that. And so from those, I'm thinking maybe I should pay more attention to that specific oil. And so it's given me some new things to try, and new ways to use essential oils, and things that I've experienced them before, but maybe I've overlooked them. And so taking a second look at some oils. I know last year, we had Jerby Gott speak about ylang ylang, and that was Salvatore Battaglia's favorite essential oil also. So I got ylang ylang. I went out and bought that because I wanted to experience that some more. And I'd say, like, I had no essential oil, well, very little essential oils left because I've given away so many, but I'm starting to get more mainly because some speakers have sent me their amazing oils so I could try them. And then Kunzia is another one that Daniel Penawell speaks about. And there's been, that oil has come into my awareness again. And so oils that I've maybe had before that I didn't have anymore, I've rediscovered in my essential oil refrigerator, to try them again and to really think more about them. And the other thing is that people said consistently is to really spend time with an essential oil and get to know it. And so I want to explore more about my experience with essential oils. Helen Nagel-Smith is going to talk about that in her talk, but it also comes through in a lot of other people's interviews that this is a great way to really get to know your essential oils and to learn about them, is to not just read in books, and do read books and take courses and experience for yourself and see what comes through for you. And I want to do more of that.
Excellent. Yeah, it makes a big difference when you interact with the oil, not just read about it. It brings the theory and being practical together, and then you have experience and theory combined give you more of a holistic approach, and you know what it's like, not just memorizing. It gives you understanding. That's great. So the Aroma Summit was a hit last year, and it's shaping up nicely this year. Are you going to do another Aroma Summit next year?
Yes, I think I probably will. Yesterday, I was thinking, what the heck am I doing? Am I going to do this again? I must be crazy, because there's a lot that goes into creating the summit, and just making sure all the pieces are just right so that people come in, it feels like it's effortless, but there's a lot of effort that goes into creating the summit. And it's really a labor of love. It's something that I really want to share with everyone. And so as long as I keep getting people saying they want to have another summit, I likely will do another summit, because that's why I do it. If I was just me sitting here, and there wasn't those good vibes coming back from people saying, so every time that somebody signs up, I send them an energetic thank you. I look at every single registration that comes in and I thank them energetically for being a part of the summit. And that really keeps me going because I know that what I'm doing is making a difference and that collectively the community is making a difference and people are feeling connected. They're feeling like they're feeling reinvigorated about aromatherapy or learning, opening their eyes to new ways of doing things. And so that's why I do it. And so as long as those things are still happening and I can reach somebody that maybe hasn't, I know last year people decided to become aromatherapists or they decided to get some, start their education and see where it goes. People that were just starting out or just buying oils from one particular company, but hadn't known that there was this whole other way of learning. And so if I can reach more people, then the summit will always be an option. Yeah, it's a great way to highlight all the ways that aromatherapy can work in our lives.
Yeah, really, really good way of thinking. And also, if you make the impact on one person, if one person comes out with the correct information, knows how to use the essential oil in a great way, the summit has been successful because you create an impact. It's not like a celebrity that has millions of followers but doesn't have a lot of impact. They just are there and followers but no impact. If you can impact that one person and give them the right information or save them from injuring themselves, that is a great way to be.
Absolutely.
So now, as we can see,
I was just going to say, I'm not trying to,
go on.
The numbers are great. And, I shared some numbers about last year, 3,000 attendees from 95 different countries. We had 34 speakers from 8 different countries. And this year, I don't know the final numbers yet, but I do know we have 38 speakers from 13 different countries. So those numbers have gone up. But I can't, we're still in the midst of everything. So I don't know the final numbers yet on the attendees, but it's not about the number so much as, like you said, it's the impact. And I'm not trying to just get people to come in and be there for an event. I really want to build a community. I want a place where people can feel supported and be their genuine aromatherapy self. Where else can you hang out with, for 3 days and just talk about essential oils and people aren't running away from you, right? Like usually when I sit around and talk about essential oils with somebody that doesn't care about it, that can be a problem after about 5 minutes. And so the Aroma Summit is a nice retreat away from all that and just to be with each other. So yeah, that's, I'm looking for make a real lasting impact for people, not just the 3 days that we're together.
Wonderful. Now, as we can see, there was a lot of effort. There's a lot of effort required to make this event possible. Have you done all this by yourself?
Well, no way. Yeah, no way. So as I mentioned, in the beginning, Joseph, you have been amazing and just carrying me through all the way from not just the summit, but last year's summit, and just being a bigger and bigger part of it. Just wonderful. But there's so many people. So I know I'm not going to mention everybody, but I would like to mention some people that have really contributed quite a bit to the summit success. Robin Kessler, for one, she's another one that hears my calls, like a few times a week or at some points it's daily where we talk and just, she helps me just bounce ideas. She's done some testing of the site, make sure everything works, clicks all the links. You've done a lot of that too, Joseph, and just checking that everything is working so that when somebody comes there, that it works. So that's been really great. And just, she's been spreading it. And so have you, like just anybody that has just shared the summit, I'm so grateful for that they're putting it out there. And definitely there are some big fans of the summit that have just been willing to do stuff. And one of them is Carmen Monroe, who's going to be a helper during the summit. And she's helped behind the scenes as well. And she was an attendee last year. And this year she just said, whatever you need, I want to help. She said, I believe in AromaTrust. I believe in the Aroma Summit, and I want to help it be successful this year. What can I do? And so she's, you'll see her on some of these calls as a helper, and she's behind the scenes helping also. So I'm so grateful for her. And my friend Susan, who has helped me in a pinch find an editor when everything fell apart with the editing. She helped me find a new editor. She helped me find the other helpers that she'll see here at the summit, Andrea and Aaron and Glenda. And so just amazing people coming in, and my son for just sitting through all the interviews. He's sat through at least 50 out of the 70 or more that I've done over the last year or so. Just so many people that have helped, that have been there and been a part of it, and just supported the summit. And all the speakers, obviously, because they're, without speakers, we wouldn't have a summit, and just bringing their best self to it and showing up during the summit and for the interview. And also, like I mentioned earlier, people coming to the summit and the comments that I've received back and the nice emails I've received and messages about how the summit has changed things for them, how they've, made new connections or received new education and just re-energized in aromatherapy, and that has made a difference. And those things help me keep me going, because without that, I would feel like, what's the point? Right. So, and there is that, I just want to make that impact. And so every time I see that, it's just one of those connections would be one of those, emails or one of those messages would be enough, but I've had so many. And so I'm just so grateful for all of that. Don't get me wrong, I've done plenty of it. Like, I'm like the person that kind of oversees it. I figured out, the technical pieces and how they fit together, and done, gotten a lot of it done. Of course, all the interviews. And so I have to give myself thanks also, because, that's crazy, but I could not do it without you, Joseph, without the other people that I've mentioned and the people that I haven't mentioned, because my brain can't always get all the list out at the moment. But there are so many people that I'm just so grateful for. Every person that has, even people that have just sent me a note and said, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? I had an interview with Elizabeth Ashley a couple of weeks ago where it was just a check-in. She wanted to know if I was okay. She's run a summit before, knows how much work goes into it. So she wanted to see if I was okay. And so people have been checking in to say, how's it going? Do you need anything? If there's anything I can do, help. And so every one of you that has given me that encouragement, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. It's, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. So for all of you, thank you so much.
And thank you as well, Emily. Well, thank you, Emily. It has been a real delight talking to you. All the best with the Aroma Summit. And if you haven't got your pass yet, yes?
I was going to ask you a question before we head out. Can I ask you a question?
You want to ask me a question?
I do. Yeah. I want to turn the tables.
Right, you ask me a question.
I should turn us around, but I'll keep you right there.
All right.
So I want to ask you, because Joseph is, I think he's getting, you're becoming more and more interested in aromatherapy since the Aroma Summit, AromaTrust and the Aroma Summit. And so this year you've watched every single video, every single interview ahead of time to make sure that there were no technical glitches, that everything is good before we put it up for everybody. And so from a person who's not a trained aromatherapist, but somebody who just is interested in aromatherapy, I'm interested to know how watching the summit has impacted you. How has that changed your ideas about aromatherapy? Or, maybe you might become an aromatherapist.
Maybe. So what I know about aromatherapy is from the books that I've got. It's about massage and blending the oils for massages and carrier oils with the essential oil. And also the other aspect of it that I learned from the summit is it can be used in a lot of modalities. What I saw is there's kind of two sections for it. You can blend an oil for massage, or you could also smell the oil to affect you and anchor to a positive memory, or help people with mental health issues to accelerate that, because it goes directly into your brain. And that's what I'm doing now. Like, I've got my cotton bowls with peppermint essential oil. I put 7 drops because I like the number 7. And this wakes me up and I feel energized. And when I come into my office, it's very refreshing because it bypasses all your senses and goes directly to your brain. And also, I was amazed to learn about the power of the essential oils with people that have Alzheimer's. So there's a lot of uses of it, because if that instant impact, and it's a personal thing, because you have to, like you were saying, sit with the oil, see if you like it or not. Maybe I will smell the peppermint and that wakes me up. Maybe you'll smell it and you won't feel good. So you need to know the impact that it has on you. And I believe there's 2 branches of it. There's an application where you can apply it, and you have to apply it safely, of course. I never knew that you don't mix it with water. I learned that from the summit. You have to mix it with the carrier oils. Not that I've done that or I was going to do that, but I never knew that bit of information. And also, I have learned by myself that you can use the essential oils for pest control around the house as well. So there's so many uses that you can use it. And I believe it's divided into 2. One that would help other kinds of therapy. You still need, the traditional doctors and all that, and it's complementary to it. And another aspect is how you apply it and how you feel it in your body and enjoy it through smell or through a massage. So it's been really eye-opening, and I wouldn't have known all that if I didn't get involved in the summit and listen to the great speakers.
I love it. And, I was excited for you to watch the summit, because as somebody who's studied the brain and psychology, and you're a coach, that this may be a way that you can incorporate aromatherapy into some of those other things that you do, because I think, it's like you said, it goes directly to the brain. And so there's some things that maybe traditional coaching or other things, like Melissa Holman last year talked about coaching with using aromatherapy. And there's ways that we can bring in aromatherapy to any modality. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's some we can add on aromatherapy to make it even more effective. So it doesn't have to be by itself, and you don't have to be an aromatherapist to enjoy the Aroma Summit. There's something there for everybody to pull out something good for them.
I absolutely agree. And it's very impactful and very powerful, because you can think of it like when you smell baked goods or like cookies being baked, it brings the happy memories of you running into the house and your grandma was cooking. It instantly has that effect on you. Same as music. You listen to it, it gives you that nice feeling. So it really is very powerful. And I recommend to anybody that hasn't done aromatherapy to check it out. Come to the summit. Register at the AromaSummit.com. It's free, and come and experience what the speakers have to say, and you'll learn something new.
Awesome. Thanks, Joseph. This was fun. It was fun to have the tables turned and to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well, Emily. It has been a delight talking to you, and all the best with the Aroma Summit. And you, if you haven't registered, go to the AromaSummit.com, register now. We'd love to see you there. Put on your favorite aroma, wear your best aroma shirt, and come and join us.
Great. I love it. Thanks, Joseph.